And welcome back to Life Leadership with Alex Urbina. Right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Joining us today in studio is Daniel Paraski and Kim Anthony from Spectrum Life Design. And before we went on a break, I was talking about our first experience in the transformational training. Back in my days, it was called the basic training, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now, before going to that training, I thought that my life was dialed in. From my perspective, I thought I was successful compared to most of my friends, which were still, they were still out drinking and partying, and they were still going from job to job. I had a solid job. I was married, had my first house. So when my cousin came to my house and said, "You got to do this training," I was like, "Man, but I'm good. I'm already where I want to be. I'm probably have far exceeded my expectations." But going into that training, that first day, that first weekend, I think there was an awakening that needed to happen that I was, I think, destined to get to. Right? It was like awakening myself up from inside of my own box. Now, how do other people wrap their mind around that there's a possibility that they can be awakened from an experiential weekend that they don't realize that they necessarily need it or that even exists? Because I went into that training not even knowing really what to expect,
Right.
and what I got out of that 3 or 5 day process
Was so much more than
it
you
was
even
huge.
thought.
Yeah,
Right.
it was just out of my realm. I didn't even know it was possible.
Right. It's like learning a new language, a language you don't even know exists, or you don't even know how to speak it.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was in a sleep. I didn't know that I was like walking around in life in a fog, because I thought that I had everything going on based on results, based on all the results I was creating in my life.
And compared to your peers.
Exactly. So having that awakening was huge for me. It was the gift the best gift that I could have given myself, because from that platform, I started to realize that I'm in control of everything in my life. Right? I took total responsibility for it. But more importantly, it put me on this conscious journey to figure out how to reinvent myself, to be a better husband, to be a better father, to be a better son, a better brother, and to just be able to access my full potential and be authentic and vulnerable and loving and compassionate and sensitive and all those goodies that comes with having that awakening. So how do you think people are listening right now to this information?
Well, can I ask you a question,
Absolutely.
Alex, about how did you get into the training then? If you were feeling like you were successful and life was going good for you, and your cousin showed up at your doorstep and said you have to do this training, what really motivated you then to put money down, get your butt in the door, and take 3-4 days out of your life?
It's actually quite an embarrassing situation. But
so then I'm so glad I asked.
Yeah, I'm going to share it anyways.
As you turn bright red.
Exactly. So my cousin asked me this question. He started talking to me about this training and about the seminar, and my response to him was, "Oh, I don't do seminars. That's for white people."
Wow. Oh, I got a story. Okay,
and,
go.
And he looked at me. He looked at me and he said,
story.
"Are you open to the possibility that same belief that you've created limits you from taking action and taking advantage of other possibilities that are out there because you created this belief?" And where would you have created that belief? Well, obviously, there's no other place I would have created that other than my mom, and growing up around my mom, hearing my mom say certain things, right? But that belief, when he called me on that, I had never been called on anything in my life before, so maybe it was just being called on it. When he called me on it and spun it around, it really hit me. It was like, wow, how many other beliefs do I have or that I have created that really limit me from getting to the next level and the next level and the next level? So then now he had me hooked. Now I wanted to go and examine some of the limiting beliefs that I have unconsciously created that are transparent. They're there, but you don't see them.
They're tasteless. You can't smell them. You're just in it.
Yeah, you're swimming around in it, but you don't know you're swimming in it. It's like you're a fish in a dirty pond. Well, if you're born in that pond, you don't know that there's a cleaner pond somewhere else because it's just all you know. So for me, it was him calling me on it, and then I said, all right, I want whatever it is that you're talking about that I can have, but you better be right.
I think
So it was
that
trusting him too.
It was trusting him,
too.
absolutely, yeah.
I think that right there is what had you get into the training, is what else am I making up about certain things? In that, you saw value. There's value there.
Yeah, the value has to be big enough for somebody
And
to take action on something like that, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what had you get in there. Now, nobody can build this up. I mean, you could tell them, you can say all the things you want to say, you cannot build it up. Once you get into that training, it is beyond anything you can even imagine. And that's where the whole world just opens up, and like a veil being revealed opens up, and you see things that was always there. You just never saw it.
Now, there's some famous people that have done these trainings, right? You want to
Sure.
rattle off a few of those names that you know of? Well, I mean, we don't know
Oh,
specifically,
boy.
but
These types of trainings.
These types of
yes,
trainings.
these types of trainings.
Uh,
Because I've heard anything from
Um,
Dr. Phil,
Oh yeah, Dr. Phil definitely. I
David-
Madonna,
Madonna,
Geffen,
Madonna,
Paul
Paul
Abdul,
Abdul.
Paul
Paul
Abdul, Pauly Shore.
Pauly
Yes.
Pauly
Shore,
Shore.
Pauly
Yeah, there's
Shore.
John
yeah,
Denver.
Yeah.
Rick Springfield.
Yes.
Shakira for those Spanish. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
the
Okay.
Latin-based versions. Yeah, and then there's also a lot of elected officials.
Yeah, a lot of elected officials,
Yeah, yeah.
judges, police officers, all the areas of armed forces.
Kind of their secret sauce. behind
The
this.
secret
the secret
sauce.
sauce for
I'm
leadership.
feeling a little funny about saying their names. I'm kind of outing them, but
And I
yes.
heard that these
Yeah.
trainings were actually originally designed for successful people already, and it was to help them to get to the next level.
Yes, yes.
And,
so when
and
we
now they're available to everybody.
isn't that cool?
You just
got to
decide that you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the key, right?
When we get back from the break, let's talk more about how to explain this transformation to everyday people that are wanting this information. So stay tuned for more. You're listening to Life Leadership with Alex Urbina right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.